I wrote a book on Chamorro proverbs, and to date I have collected, there really is quite a number. And proverbs, in 3 words: value, tradition, and culture. And when you look into these proverbs, they are all meant to guide you coming from the Sina, because they are based in human life experiences. It's not a book. It's living. It's not a non-reality, but it's a reality. So when I was visiting many of our elders of Sina, in our conversation, and quite a number, a Chamorro proverb will come out in the course of the conversation. And when I look at these proverbs, they are so deep rooted in the Chamorro value system. And so, to the younger generation of Chamorros, they should learn from these proverbs and see what is in each proverb that is tied in into their own reality, because human experiences are shared. Human experiences are something that is not only you singular to have gone through it, but others who have gone throughout the centuries. And the Proverbs capture this as they are retold by our Sinas. They are the light. It's like an eternal light that guides us forward. The I wrote or I edited a magazine, and in the front page of that magazine, I use the word tungo patgonnu ifinat posmo. My child, learn of your past. Pagu patgomu, today it's your day. Agupa tegupamu, but tomorrow is not yours. That's a proverb in itself. Tungo is to learn. And learning is a journey in life. We never cease to learn. But the roots of our learning begins with our family. And so within that family context and the values and tradition, this is where we enter into the world of the realities of who we deal with. And again, these words, the proverbs that our scientists use, the enas, the light, are telling us to look into these words and see the reality in your own life. The phrase "estera sirai" is totally in Spanish. And the closest English cross translation is "once upon a kingdom," or in the English, "once upon a time." So if you look into the Chamorro culture of yesteryears, the estera sirai was really the role of the grandparents, because they stayed home with you. The Chamorro culture was an extended family system. So they were the ones, they were the signers that were retelling all these different accounts. Estera sirai. From my own experience with storytelling, I could recall my grandfather, paternal, Jesus de Boer Ramirez, born 1885, died in 1966. And he stayed with us quite often. And he would sit down with us. And we always wanted to hear stories from him, because he was a kind of a master storyteller. And not only was he a master storyteller, esteticidad, he loved to tell stories. But many of his stories are about discipline, quite a number. And we were all eager to listen to him because although we were very young, we were listening to him as a sign about where discipline can take us in our journey in life. Chamorro, or what I learned from the signs, is that the land is sacred. And the land is sacred because it was created by these two human gods, the two siblings, Fauna and Punten. And so the very earth that we step on every day here on Guam, Guam, we are stepping on the bodies of these two human gods. And so therefore it's sacred. The asking of permission of entering sacred places is from time immemorial because not only was the land created by these two human gods, but consider all the signs throughout the 4,000 years of Guam history that have died and have become a part of this land to make it sacred. So when you enter places, they are sacred by the virtue and the fact that people have lived here. Their spirits lived here. And although their mortal bodies are not with us, their spirits are still. This is a very in-depth Chamorro belief. I remember this when I was young. Every year, and I didn't understand this, every year for Christmas, my mother had the traditional biled. And every year, for about 2 weeks, we would go into the Halumtano. Halumtano in Chamorro means halum within, tano within the land. And we would go into these deep forests, and we would come to places as if they were manicured by people, but we know nobody's living in there. And they would say, don't touch that, don't disturb that, don't do that. So here's the other experience again that I didn't realize because I was very young. Why was my mother taking all her children into the Halumtano? Was there something more to it? Was it an ancient practice? I never thought about that when I was young. Today, I really believe, and maybe my mother didn't realize too because she carried on the tradition. But going into the Halumtano, at least for me today, was to cleanse my body because of all the traditional medicinal plants that are in there. And to reconnect with the spirits, but to reconnect with them with respect. And that is why it is very important to understand this, because the land and all that there is in the land is sacred. Today we have to realize this as humanity, that it's not only here, but the earth is sacred. This is our home. Our home is sacred. That's where the idea of home and not seeing it as a sacred place. And let me go further on this. When I was young, a visitor can only go to a certain part of the house, as opposed to today's generation, where everybody has to enter into anywhere in the house. That wasn't the case when I was growing up. Till today, when I enter the house, I would take off my footwear. I would never bring my footwear into somebody's house, even in an office where I'm at. I take it off. Why? Because I thought again, it was one of these, well, you just do it because it's a nice thing to do. No, 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 no. That's not the reason behind that. When you really look into it, idega, the footwear. That's a Chamorro word for footwear. Idega, ang ginunusa when you use it, atutsuli todo takes everything. Animamokaro, where you walk. Imaulik, zanibaba, the good and the bad. Zangiponhalun gigamatauto o gigumamu when you're entering your house. Sapudi, sagrado because your house is sacred. Polu idegamu, put your footwear on the front door. Sa hagwa unhalun, and only you enter. Do not bring what you have learned that is not good into your home. So when you look at these practices, as I said, there is something more to it, really, when you look into it. As I entered these forests, Yalumtano, I can feel something different about it, especially into the areas that we were taking these materials to build the nativity scene. But the words that are used is guelu and guela, from the Spanish word abuelo and abuela, meaning ancestors. Asiidzo, forgive me, sa bayhufalofan gitanomu, because I will enter into your land, into your space. When we enter the forest, as I remember being a child, to the time that, and I was already a teenager at the time, when I entered the Alontano, there really is that deep respect into these areas because it is where it's the dwelling place of the ancient spirits. That's very fundamental in the Chamorro culture. And therefore, for those that do not understand this, that do not connect to this, because they are non-Chamorros, should really be cognizant of the fact that even if they are not raised or thought of this, these places are still sacred and have to be respected as the Chamorros do.